So hello everyone to SUGCON 2018. So we're going to look into the Sitecore Commerce 9 plugin and the architecture behind that today. And we're going to go a bit more deeper. So there's introduction to commerce and everything else, but what we're going to do is basically how this all fits together as an architecture. The tagline is basically when content meet commerce. We have seen this on various slides of Sitecore, and when Sitecore talks about commerce, what is commerce? And when you think about commerce with Sitecore is mostly a CMS, content management system, or an experience platform. So how does that stick together architecturally? We're going to go deeper into that. But before that, I'm Sumith. I'm an ex-Sitecorean, recently moved away from Sitecore. I've been consulting for the last 10 years in Sitecore itself, so mostly Sitecore projects. I've certified and I've trained a lot of guys in various Sitecore stuff like Helix, XXA, Sitecore Commerce. So one of the reasons why this talk came into my mind was basically we went from Sitecore 8 to 8.2 to 9. And then I was there when we were actually doing workshops on Sitecore 8, and when I was working in services, we were actually defining what Sitecore is. But there's a lot changes from these versions into 9. So we're going to talk about that. Yeah, we're going to look into that. So how many of you guys have actually used Commerce? Yeah, wow, that's a lot. So you may need a lot. So did you install it? Yeah. Well, or trying to install. So that's like 3 or 4 days of your life you want it back, isn't it? Yeah. So what we saw when we was working with services is basically this module needed some kind of hand-holding or some kind of information which Sitecore should be giving you when you are installing Sitecore. So it's like, yeah, there's Sitecore and there's Commerce, do it. But that's not how it is. When you started installing Sitecore, you figured out that it doesn't fit in. It takes a long time to install, and the whole Sitecore install framework, yeah, fine, but you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So we're going to look deeper into that, see what plugins are, and why I'm excited about plugins then. So when we were extending Sitecore, the way we extend Sitecore is pipelines. Everything is a pipeline, yeah? Like just extend it. But I like this new architecture behind Sitecore Commerce, which was a plugin-based architecture. So we're going to look into that. Currently, yeah, I'm working as the director of engineering in an agency, so that's what my role is currently. But yeah, enough of me. So what we're going to cover is basically an introduction to XC9. I'm going to rush through that. Yeah? So we're going to look into business tools. Hopefully, if you have not installed it, just go and install Sitecore Commerce. And then I picked up this one, so Sitecore Catalog Concept, which is kind of new in Sitecore Commerce 9 itself. Yeah, so it's some new elements of that, so we're going to look into that. Then we are going to go deeper into the architectural elements, so role, indexes, and data flow. Then Commerce Engine. What is this Commerce Engine, which we talk about? And then within the engine, we have different elements, which is the policies. How do you extend the engine using the plugin architecture? And then we picked up one of the plugin demos, so we're going to work through that. And then if we have time, so I was timing myself, that's where 40 minutes finishes, yeah. If you have time, we'll look into XXA. And I'm a big fan of XXA Storefront and XXA itself. So yeah, build your stuff using XXA, nothing else, yeah. Yeah. So yeah. First thing is basically, let's look into what defines commerce itself. So as I said when we started, we have an experience platform, which is Sitecore. Yeah. So how can we marry something that is commerce? So what is needed for commerce? Yeah, and marry it with an experience platform to make it a commerce platform. So the elements that is needed for commerce itself is you need to have an ability to add, remove carts, which is shopping cart functionality. Then you need to think about inventory. How are you going to manage inventory? Checkout processes. Yeah, so you should capture everything that is necessary to complete your order. Shops, and most of the commerce platforms out there are basically saying, yeah, we are multi-shop capable. Yeah. So again, an e-commerce platform should be that. So create multiple online shopping. And what changes here is basically you should be able to define your currencies and other attributes onto your shop itself. So you can be proper multi-shop capable. Yeah, so define currency, languages, and payment for each and every shop you have. Then you have catalog, so ability to create and maintain a catalog, definitely, like e-commerce platform should have that. Then we have entitlements. So entitlement is an ability to track the ownership of your digital goods. So let's say you have Netflix or something where you are, this is a subscription-based model. Or if anyone using Xbox, you have the Xbox Live Gold tokens, so you're selling that. So those are just entitlements, those are not physical goods. So how can your e-commerce platform support that? So those are commerce features. And then fulfilling that physical or digital product. How easy is it to integrate with payment systems? Yeah, so as an architect or as developers, you need to think about, whether we are getting something from Sitecore, is it easy to integrate with our payment providers? Yeah, the recent one was Visa Checkout. How is it easy to implement Visa Checkout on your commerce platform? And then manage your orders. What I like about Sitecore 9 in this is basically this is an end-to-end order management. So it actually manages the entire life cycle of an order. And then pricing and promotion on top. Yeah, so managing pricing. So the difference, what I saw when I was actually talking about Sitecore 8, 8.2, and 9, is basically how can we do custom pricing on a particular product? How can we add promotion to that? So when you think about an e-commerce platform, these are the features that should be there. And then Sitecore Commerce 9 actually says, yep, we can do that. Okay, so to do that, when you install Sitecore 9, you get the out-of-the-box business tool installed. Yeah, so this business tool, so again, if anyone done 8.2, 8-ish? Yeah, so what changes here is basically that. So we used to have an entire suite of tools, and in 9, basically everything is combined together. Yeah. So you have the catalog management, the inventory management, customer management, order management, promotion, and pricing as its own component inside the business tool now. Okay. So what was business tool? So it was a complete rewrite in the last 1.5 years, using Angular 4, completely rewrite with the mindset of data-driven architecture. And it's easy to extend because it's based on Angular 4, and then you can extend it using the same plugin-based architecture. It supports federated authentication, and it's based on the microservice UI. Okay. So I'll jump into a demo, but before that, let's just define, first of all, the core concept of Sitecore. So what do we do in an e-commerce platform? We sell products. Yeah. So in terms of an e-commerce platform, especially within Sitecore, we define something called as catalog and sellable items. Yeah, you start hearing more about this thing called as sellable items in Sitecore Commerce 9. Yeah. So let's just take an example. You got multiple catalogs. Yeah, so when you go to a superstore or something like that, you pick up a catalog that contains some products you're selling. Yeah? And same is applicable on an e-commerce platform too. So you have a catalog, you're selling electronics, and electronics have game consoles, radios. Maybe you're selling TVs, which are variant TVs. Yeah, that's just putting it in a layman's term. And same thing, you're selling cars. I don't think you will be selling cars and TVs at the same time, but I just throw it in. Yeah. And then you're selling furniture. The furnitures can be categorized into tables and beds, and then you have multiple variant of your thing. Yeah. So keeping that in mind, how does it translate into Sitecore 9, Commerce 9? So you have the catalog. So in Sitecore Commerce 9, we have simplified the catalog itself. Yeah, and the categories live inside a catalog. Okay, so and then inside the categories you have product, and product are independent sellable items. Okay, and this can be associated with multiple catalog. So one product can be associated with multiple catalog. Okay, good. And then we can associate price book to a particular catalog, promotion to that particular catalog. And this way we can actually have different currencies on the shop itself rather than like before on 8 and before. we were doing it on a particular shop. Yeah, so it's better using this attribution. Okay. So what is a sellable item? So sellable item and product are interchangeable. The reason why we came up with sellable item is basically sellable item can be a physical product or a digital product. Yeah. And it's based on the generalized B2C schema. And the schema of a product is based on the schema.org data. Yeah. So you can actually use, whenever we create a product in SiteCore, you can actually integrate with any third party, like Google product search, or anything you have, because it's based on the same schema, which is an open source schema. Yeah, and then you can always extend it. So if a product attribute is not there, yeah, and you want to add more attributes to a product, you can easily extend it using the plugin-based architecture. Okay. Then on a product, so you can have multiple variants, just like when we saw the TV. You can have 4K TV or normal HD TV. So you can have separate schema for the sellable item. And it's a view of the parent sellable item, and then you are just overriding the properties of that. But what you can do is, on top of it, you can actually add or attach pricing to a particular variant.
Attach what?
Pricing.
Oh, pricing.
Yeah. So what are variants? Variants are properties which are size, color, description, and so and so for a particular variant. Yeah. So as an example, so we have a different catalog. So we have a spring catalog, an Easter catalog, and a holiday catalog. Maybe it contains multiple categories. Yeah. And then you are selling, let's say, TV. Yeah. So it has HDTV and HD. Yeah. You got sellable item 2, which is just sellable item itself without any variants, and sellable item 3 with variant 1. Yeah, 1 variants. So what you can have is basically you can have on the spring catalog sellable item 1 with both the variants and sellable item 2. Yeah. So that's what you're selling in your spring catalog during the springtime. In your Easter catalog, you can have sellable item 1, which was already part of spring catalog. Yeah? And then you can also associate sellable item 3 with 1 variant. Yeah? And on your holiday catalog, you can actually have sellable item 2 and sellable item 3. So this is fundamentally different than what we used to do in the previous versions of SiteCore Commerce. Yeah. And on top of it, we introduced a new concept called as inventory set. Yeah? So you can actually set inventories of your product, yeah, as a part of your website itself. So you can define inventory set 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, and you can assign that inventory set to your product itself. Yeah? This will help you to move your product across various different departments you have or stores you have. Yeah? So in this case, you are selling your product on the website. You have maybe a store in London, and you have a physical store in Denmark. Yeah? So what you can do is you can create an inventory set, and then that inventory item 1 has sellable item 1, let's say 20. So you've got 20 items to sell on your website. Inventories item 2 has variant 2, could be 10. And then London store can have similar stuff, and so and so. So the advantage of getting this inventory set, this is a new concept in SiteCore Commerce 9, is basically you can actually move your inventory across different stores. Yeah? So then you can create your minions or your plugins to actually automate that. So if you have something like something where you are out of an inventory, you can actually create something which is like a back order, and then get some stuff from the London store into your website. Okay. So that's going here. So yeah, so when you install Commerce 9, you get the business tool. Yeah. So business tool itself is an independent URL. So it's not the same old Speak UI, yeah, which is kind of embedded within Sitecode. So when you click on that, if you notice, it actually opens a new URL. It's interesting now. Gods. Yeah, let me see. So it opens up a new URL. So if you notice over there, it's localhost 4200. Yeah. So it's not still sitting inside of Sitecore. Yeah, it's kind of outside. This is an Angular app. You can extend it. Yeah. And it has everything on your left-hand side, which is on the right-hand side, which is merchandising, inventory, pricing, promotion, orders, customer relationship. Yeah. We talk about this thing called as environments in detail. Yeah. This is where we will go deeper into the architecture. Yeah. So your shop is working against one environment. What is it? We'll come to that. Yeah. And then in that environment, we will have something to sell, which is inside your merchandising. Yeah. So that's your AdventureWorks catalog. And then in the catalog, you will have categories and products and so on. So, yeah. We're not going to go deeper in that, but it's good. Yeah. Say yes. No. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Now we look deeper into the architecture. So yeah, so we look into what was the dark magic behind the whole business tool. So business tools was working, it was calling some APIs, it's an Angular-based app, and we have something called as Commerce Engine. Yeah, so how does that work out? Yeah. So these are the architectural entities. So when you install Sitecore Commerce 9, you get shared environments and a global database. So these two are the database, which are the storage roles. Then we get a shop role, an authoring role, a minion role, and a DevOps role. So these are the 4 roles you get. Then you also get something which is BeefFX. Yeah. That is serving your business tool, yeah, and an identity server.
Do you know what it stands for?
BeefFX, business. Nope, no. Yeah. No, I don't have it in my notes too. Yeah. And then on top of it, what you get is you get 3 indexes. Yeah. So catalog item scope index has to be related to catalog. Order scope index has to be related to all the orders, yeah, on the site. And then customer scope index, which is your customers who are logged in customers. Yeah. So this is shared environments is where we store all the commerce-related data. Yeah, so it has to sit somewhere. It used to sit in the items itself before, or even before that, it was in the commerce server itself, which was the older one. Yeah, the Microsoft-based commerce. Yeah. So this is where you put. So this is where you find all the products, catalog, category, pricing information in the shared environments. Yeah. Shop role is a role. Yeah, so we said Sitecore Commerce is based on microservice architecture and so on. So shop role is a role which is actually helping your website to get information about your product. We'll see the data flow. The authoring role is for content authors. So when I open the merchandising manager, authoring role is being used behind the scenes to get data for that. Minions are background tasks which you want to do. And they can be scaled, and they can work on multiple stuff at the same time. DevOps role is generally what we say is basically should be used once or twice. Yeah, this is how you set up your engine. Yeah, so you start off with some policies, and you start off with some environments, saying this is what I need, and then you use the DevOps role to basically kick that up. Yeah, so you use Bootstrap to kick on using the DevOps role. Yeah. And the security is handled by the identity server. So business tool is the so when we did localhost :4200, that is the business tool. The application itself, the new Angular application.
And you need a certain role for that to access it.
Yeah. Because when you set it on the base, it's the same interface.
No. Is it? No, I don't think so. You need to set up a URL for it. Yeah, it's a different URL. It's listening at a different URL. And then you can scale it. So basically, database, it's an own database server. Web role, it's an own role. And then if you look at this one, because this is a background task, it is running as a worker role, not a web role. Yeah. And then you have the indexing server, which are actually for your indexes. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say here is basically you can scale it. You can create different instances. It's really a microservice architecture here. Yeah. Okay. So now let's look at a data flow. So when the shopper visits your website, yeah, so they are hitting the Sitecore CD server, which contains, let's say, XSS storefront, which is coming out of the box. Yeah. So it talks to the Sitecore web database, yeah, and maybe it will also talk to the core database if you have membership in there. Yeah. That then goes to the Sitecore web index that fetches the item, so it could be a product. Yeah. Then it actually uses that particular item, goes to the shop role, saying, hey, what should I do with this item? I got an item called as product A. That item, as I said, information is stored in the shared database. Yeah? So that item information like pricing, the inventory, and everything else is stored in the shared database. Yeah? So it pulls that out from the shared database, yeah? And then you can show it. Yeah? So when the user is basically going through an order, or maybe it's an order he was actually working on, the cart was there, yeah? The minions can jump in, yeah, and use the order scope index to get information of the order. Then that actually can be fed back into the shared environments and get more information of the order and then work on the order. So minions can do things behind the scenes for you. So if you have a heavy, big traffic website, you can run multiple minions that can handle the orders for you. Yeah. So when you install Sitecore Commerce 9, a typical developer machine looks like this. So you got the CD server, and then you set up some shop environment. This diagram is not very accurate. It's basically multiples of them. Yeah. So you got Sitecore CD, which contains the XSS storefront, and you got the shop environments, which contains some policy and commerce engine. Yeah. But there are few multiple roles. Yeah. So if you have to rethink, there was shop role, authoring role, and all this one. So it's like. And then if you look at a multi-tenancy or a scaled environment, so the requirement was that you would like to have multiple shops. Yeah. So you can have storefront 1, which is talking to shop environment 1, that contains the policies for them. We'll look into what policies are. And then storefront 2, same seed instance, and so and so. Yeah. And then you can scale these into their own environment and own instances if you need to. Okay. And then the best bit is basically natively, as you said, you installed it on Azure PaaS. So Sitecore Commerce 9 supports out-of-the-box provisioning in the cloud with little efforts. We are providing the ARM templates for you guys to help. We use the standard Azure tooling. And then you can actually push content and develop using plugin-based architecture onto that. Yeah. And this is for all high available and disaster recovery for your website. Okay, I'm just going to quickly show you if a lot of you guys have already installed it locally. So this is what you see when you install Sitecore Commerce 9. Yeah, so you got the commerce authoring role, minions, ops, and shop. Yeah. You always use Sitecore 9. So one of the things you need to do is basically, there was someone asking me, can you actually work Sitecore Commerce 9 as its own, just like Hybris? Nope, you need Sitecore itself, or Sitecore Experience Platform itself to actually use Sitecore Commerce. Yeah. Maybe you are using it for inventory and everything else, and then you use APIs to just serve a different WordPress site. That's a different story, but we would like you to use the Experience Platform so that actually you can use the full capability of the Experience Platform, which is marketing automation and stuff like that. So you got Sitecore itself, and then you have 2 new ones, which are Sitecore BizFX and the Identity Server. Okay. So Sitecore Experience Commerce 9, now we go a bit deeper into the engine. Yeah, so we got the roles, we got what came out when you install Sitecore Commerce. So Sitecore Experience Commerce 9 is based on .NET Core, which is the new framework from Microsoft itself. So the footprint is small. And then it also supports OData, so it is based on the OData framework. Yeah? So all the data is exchanged using what the standard industry OData protocol. Okay. So it is designed and engineered as a microservice architecture, yeah, which means you are hosting lightweight microservice. What we have also done is we have provided the source in a form of an SDK. Yeah. And then, as I said, everything which you're talking to, yeah, it uses the Sitecore identity server so secure access via certificate of federated authentication. So you're using the identity server to get token, and then use the token on the future calls to the Sitecore Commerce Engine platform. Yeah, so it's designed for scalability, integration, and the cloud, and it uses a simple deployment model, which means you basically just do a web deploy to add or remove stuff to Sitecore Commerce Engine. Okay. Again, it is built against the new Commerce Core framework. It supports multi-tenant and multi-environment for model development. And it's aligned with the Sitecore dot framework. So this is a new thing, and you will see more happening in Sitecore itself now. So we will start actually using a lot of Sitecore dot framework extension rather than the Sitecore dot kernel has everything. Yeah. So you're trying to move away from that into Sitecore dot framework, which are more smaller microservices architecture-based frameworks from Sitecore. Yeah, it's highly flexible and extensible, and again uses a standard plugin-based architecture, which is why we are here. And it actually uses a centralized policy management, which you can actually define on a multi-tenant level also. Yep. And then you can run asynchronous minions, which are jobs in the previous when you were using Sitecore. Yeah. So we looked at the roles and everything else, yeah, but these are the 6 fundamental pillars of a commerce engine. Yeah. So Sitecore Experience Commerce has environments, service APIs, the APIs which you use. It actually supports full auditing, so everything you do is audited. Policies, views, and plugins. Yeah. So we're going to go deeper into environments, policies, and plugins. Yeah. And then views are basically a way of serving it's a data. It's not MVC view, it's a data for your things which you do with your shop. Yeah. It's a view for a shop. Okay, so let's just look into policies. What is a policy? Anyone, actually? No? Okay, yeah. So this is where when I was looking at it, this is where when you install Sitecore Commerce and then you start reading the documentation, you're like, okay, so we got environment, we got policies, and we got plugins. So how does it all fit together? Yeah, and the document is very linear. It's like, okay, it talks about environments, it talks about policies, it talks about it's not matching it together. So let's just see what is that. Yeah. So it's a named and a variable set of data that is used to influence the functionality of an engine. Yeah, so we said we have multiple roles. So we got a shop role. The role of the shop is to basically serve shops. So you define some policies for that, and you apply it onto a particular role. And that changes the behavior of your engine itself. Yeah? So policies are cached, or sometimes not. And they are all stored in the centralized policy store, which is, which database? They got, okay, and the global. Yeah, yeah. So got 2 databases, shared environments and global. Shared environments, again, all the commerce specific stuff, and global is where you store all the policies and stuff like that for your environments. Okay, you're getting it. So then what is an environment and what is a role? So commerce environment provides ability to have separate configuration pools of data and service that runs together as an instance. Yeah, so that is an environment. which means this is where you apply your policies. Yeah, so it's a set of policies applied on a commerce engine. Okay, so then you have an ability to tailor your engine depending upon your environment. So one can be requesting product details using the shop environment, and the other could be just reading data on the authoring environment. So authoring environment, because it's used by the authors, yeah, you may cache it, you may not cache it. So you can actually have a policy saying caching or not caching. Right now, when you install Sidecar Commerce 9, all those roles are behaving the same. All of them. Yeah. So basically, when you install it, you get the same policies and same, but you can customize it so that it does not actually behave the same. Yeah, across all the, so you can actually make it a bit more smaller. Yeah. So a role is a deployed instance of the commerce engine. Make sense? Yes? Okay. Next comes the plugins. Yeah, so plugin provides rapid development experience on extending and enhancing the commerce experience. Yeah. So one thing to note here is basically everything when you install Sidecar Commerce 9, it's a plugin itself. So we, or when Sidecar actually developed commerce, we actually made everything as a plugin itself. Yeah. So, so plugin is designed to extend the experience, but plugins from different sources can coexist in a common solution without any conflict. Yeah, because they can be on two different roles. Yeah. All commerce engine features are implemented as a plugin. So we build and extend the product the same way we expect you guys to do it. Yeah. When I was in Sidecar, I was saying we. Customer can add the functionality by adding plugins, or what we wanted is basically have like a NuGet feed or some area where people can push plugin. Yeah. So they can be consumed. And I have an example in the end, a URL, which you can use from Excendium. So now it's simple. You have the Sidecar Commerce environment. You have the Sidecar Com Ops and the minion service. CM is talking to authoring. CD is talking to shop. And then you extend the shop service using some custom plugins there. Yeah, simple. So a plugin is an independent extension to the core commerce functionality. So the idea behind that is basically an update to a core functionality will not affect your plugin. Yep. So, and then you can publish your own plugin as NuGet packages. This is what we expect now. So once you understand how it works, you can actually start saying, okay, I created a plugin for Visa checkout. Here you go, and people can consume it. And plugins have very small footprints. Yep. So yeah, that's how it looks like as an architecture. And then you can actually use SIF to deploy. Yeah. And then you can use it in your DevOps process also. Okay. So what we are going to look at, how much time is left again?
So 12 minutes.
12 minutes? Yeah,
No,
good.
I'll show them 10 minutes.
Okay. I heard the clap and I'm like, okay. So when you install, let's say, or when you download the Sidecar Commerce package, you get the Sidecar Commerce Engine SDK itself. Yeah? And SDK itself has a solution here. Yeah? So you can use the Sidecar Commerce sample solution. So I'm using that right now. Yeah? And if you open the Sidecar Commerce solution, you can actually see the out-of-the-box plugin examples here. So you got the Adventure Works plugin, the sample customer migration. It's commerce server migration into commerce. The Habitat one, the Braintree, and this one. Yeah. So you can actually see how we have used plugins. It's like an SDK with an example, with a solution for you to start stuff. Yeah. So this is a project which I created. Yeah, using the plugin sample tvolume. And if you have seen any of the master Sidecar videos, was it Jason? He actually starts using this one. So kind of typed across what he was doing. Yeah. So what this does is basically it's an integration to an SMS provider, Tivolo. And what idea behind this story is when an order is finished, you get an SMS saying, hey, thank you for your order. Your order will be, it's been received and we'll ship it, something like that. Yeah? So that's a project, a normal .NET Core-based project. Yeah. So what you do is basically you have an iConfigure store, you extend that, and you register your block. Okay. So this is the, can you see? Or should I? Yeah. Yeah. So this is a order status block, yeah, which is after the persist order block. So this should happen after you persist an order in the system. Okay. And then what does the order status block do? Yeah, it's a pipeline block, yeah, which takes order as an input and an order as an output. Yeah, and it uses the Sitecore pipeline execution context. Okay. Yeah. And then it's a simple one where it actually gets the policy. So policies are, as I said, settings or stuff you want to apply on a particular environment. Yeah, that setting can be stored as a JSON file. So when you use the Bootstrap way of implementing your commerce environment, you had some policies defined as a JSON object, and then you applied that. Yeah, and that is stored in the global. Yeah. Yeah. So you can actually use that, or you, in this case, actually, I have the policy defined here. Yeah. So I want a setting like the account ID and the token, yeah, to be set for my table. So this is hard-coded. You don't want that. So you can actually put it in a JSON file and then rerun the Bootstrap to get that value for your environment. Okay. So I'm using Postman here. So again, the SDK comes with Postman. So what you can do is you can actually import. Okay, yeah. So you can actually import from the SDK, from the commerce, all the Postman URLs to the APIs. Yeah. So when you import it, you get the list on this side. And the first thing you have to do is basically get the authorization token. Yeah. So I'll actually do that. So give me the token. Yeah. Before I do the token, what I have to do is I need to run the engine. I forgot that. Yeah. So let's go to have IS here. Yeah. So this is an authoring environment, so I'm going to stop that. So when I ran this actually is running the Sitecore Commerce engine. Yeah. And in the Sitecore Commerce engine, I just had a dependency, yeah, to the plugin. So the engine, you just say, hey, here you go, there's another plugin I want to add. And then how does it add stuff? It's basically using this configure Sitecore. It says, okay, where do you want it to, what do you want this plugin to do? Just in between the order complete persist status, run this. Yeah?
Is it now mimicking the
engine?
The author
engine? Author engine, yeah. So if you look at this now, this is the engine. So localhost 5000, which is basically the URL for your author engine. And if I now do Control F, you can see that it is here now. Yeah. Just mimicking the author engine. Now I will go back to Postman. We got the token. So to complete an order, you need a cart. So I go to the get cart. I get the cart from the engine. Okay. And then in the cart, I would like to add a laptop. So calling the add lap. So all these ones are here. So add Mira laptop is here. Yeah, so you can double click and get that. I had it all set for the demo, so hopefully it all works. Yeah, so you got we added the Mira laptop to that. So if I go back here, so right now my cart has nothing. If I do that, it has one item, and somewhere down there it would be your laptop. Yeah. Now we are setting the cart to fulfill the order. Yeah. So physical fulfillment, we would like to be shipped. Yeah. So we run the fulfillment. So we can see now that the order, the price of that was 136, and then some adjustment was done. So the total order was 150.61. Yeah. So I would like to pay for it. Yeah, so I call the add federated payment. In here, when you go to the body, yeah, in the body, I actually then change the amount, what I want to pay. Yeah. So I changed that value, and then I said, okay, let me send it. Yep, I'm happy with that. It came back with 200. Then I create the order. Yeah, so I'm ready. I'm on step. So my cart, I paid for it. Now I would like to make this a physical order. Yeah. So I click on create order. So because I paid for it, it will figure out, yep, it's paid for it. And then because I have create a plugin, yeah, which is just before the persist order plugin, my breakpoint is here. Yeah. So hopefully it's an SMS provider. Yeah, I will see an SMS. Yeah. So you don't want me to go through each line of, yeah? You're happy with that? Okay. So when you hit continue, yeah, you got the thing. Yeah. So you got the order. Good. So the last bit is basically if you're trying it out, you want to try this again, you delete the cart and you can add stuff to the cart again. Yeah, so all the APIs which you do it from your shop itself is all provided for you, and you can test it out yourself. And you can test your plugin the way I did. Yeah. And how big was the plugin? Was like 10 lines of code there. Okay. So that is your plugin, and I think the last bit is basically XXA storefront. Yeah. So when people have installed Sitecore 9, yeah, we say okay, use Sitecore Experience Accelerator plugins storefront to basically build your site. Yeah. And what I noticed is basically how to start this. So out of the box, Sitecore XXA storefronts comes with its own set of components. Yeah, and the benefit of using XXA is basically you get pre-built components. Yeah, so you can actually use components provided by Sitecore, and also support multi-site capability, multi-store, multi-site. Yeah, so based on Helix, supports theming. Yeah, and then 40 plus components, and we are still adding more to it. Yeah. We are actually doing a B2B version of the same thing, so accelerator solution for B2B is coming. And it's fully supported. It's based on Sitecore Commerce 9. And it has full integration with the digital marketing tools. So personalization, A/B testing, automation comes out of the box. And I think it is, what, 40 plus automation already there, yeah, with. So yeah, 43 page events already there, 4 goals, and 20 outcomes. Yeah, so you can actually use that. Okay. So I'm just going to show you how it looks like. So again, when you install Sitecore Commerce with XXA storefront, you get the storefront out of the box. Yeah. Is anyone using XXA at all? Yeah? Yeah? How do you feel about that? Good, bad? Yeah.
I have a question because I realize that you're working on that habitat when exactly? I don't need it because I'm walking up.
So what was the question there? Sorry, what was the question then?
So I know that you guys are working on that Habitat Electrics store, like a commerce demo site, and I'm wondering when are you going to release it or so?
Anything from Sitecore itself, so that's like,
Okay, I see.
but again,
Okay.
yeah, so we are building it based on the similar concept, XXA-based components and so and so, but I do not know when. It is supposed to be April, like end of spring or something like that.
Okay, but it will be soon, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a commitment, you know. I'm kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I like about XXA is basically, yeah, you get all this free component out of the box, yeah. And then I think one thing you guys need to understand is basically, so we are saying it's a component-based architecture. Components are independent of each other based on Helix. So how does it work out? So every time if you are putting some stuff that is contextual, you may have to create a container and then put stuff in there. That becomes a bit more contextual. Yeah, so contextual containers, and then put your product or blah, blah. So that becomes a bit more contextual, which can, and again, it's based on knockout or something where, what is it based on? Knockout, I think? Yeah, where it is event-driven thing. So it says, okay, someone has added something to the cart, do something. And you can create your extension points there saying, hey, I would like to pick up from the cart, and I actually want to change this order number and so and so. Yeah. So that is almost close to finish, I think, on time. So yeah, you can actually look more into Sitecore Commerce. There's a video of what I have been talking about in the Master Sitecore YouTube channel. Developer, and then this is where I can see Centium has actually created a lot of plugins. Yeah, so there's a plugin for authorize.net, which is mostly been asked, and there's at least 7 or 8 other plugins.
Is that for Sitecore 9?
For Sitecore 9. Yeah. And then eventually I think there's product team who are working on different plugins like eBay integration and this and that. That will also come into the GitHub repository. I don't know when, but yeah. So the last bit is a shameless plug. We are also looking, so where I'm working, we are looking for developers. Yeah. Thank you so much. And
Somebody has a question, then. Question?
Hey, so can you give a bit of clarity on the data, how it looks here? Because previously it was a commerce server, and we integrated with it, and other external commerce systems like Axapta or Microsoft Dynamics was integrated with the commerce server, and now it looks like this layer is kind of dropped from the picture. So can you clarify that a bit?
So integration with Dynamics or something like that, or what do you mean by that when you say data?
I mean, where is PIM, actually, within this current scenario? Product Information Management System.
So PIM itself, yeah, it can be integrated with any PIM system, and maybe you can use the data exchange framework to bring data into Sitecore. Yeah, so you create a plugin for that, yeah, and then you keep your PIM in where it is. Or you can make Sitecore Commerce itself as your main PIM provider. Yeah, so product information management provider, we can actually build. So Sitecore Commerce, you are actually writing, you're adding all the products and everything else into that. And then you use the API to serve your third-party system, or use the plugins to bring product from a third-party system into Sitecore. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But this is something you have to do yourself, yeah.
Yeah, so again, so previously we had two choices regarding working with a catalog. First is a sync catalog data to Sitecore content tree, and second, data providers.
Yeah, so out of the box, no. Right now, no. And it's a partner who has to build something as a plugin or using the data exchange framework. Yeah, there's no sync anymore.
Got it.
And there's no roadmap for the sync also. I haven't seen it.
Any other questions? No.
Okay.
Thank
good.
you,
Thank
Sumith.
you. Thank you so much, guys.